So we're going to the second throat letter, which is ha'u. Maybe to try and make you understand, it is the sound of breath. Because as we see in our previous lesson, we met hamza. Now to differentiate between ha'u, which is the sound of breath, and hamza, it is the sound that interrupts. Hamza is the sound that arrives very suddenly. Hamza is a sound that feels like the opening of a door. That's how you have to get it. But remember, it also originates from the throat. Today now we are going to meet its closest neighbor, and that is the letter ha'u. Now, at first glance, these two letters, hamza and ha'u, they seem almost identical. Why? Because they come from the same pot. They emerge from the same region. Why? Again, they are both throat letters, and from the deepest part of the throat. Yes, they are amongst the deepest sounds in the Arabic language. Yet, when me and you listen carefully, especially to the recitation of the Quran, they even really feel completely different, despite them coming from the same point. Why? The question comes is that how can two letters emerge from the neighboring locations and produce different experiences when you listen? They come from the same place, but they produce different listening experience. So this is part of the design of the Quranic sounds. And today, inshallah, we are going to try and explore the answer. First of all, we are going to start by the makhraj. Yani, where does ha'u come from? Where is it born? Continuing with that, the letter ha'u emerges or comes out from the farthest region of the throat, yani aqsal khalq. That is a terminology in Tawheed, yani the same region as hamza. But here is something which is remarkable. The place is nearly the same, but the experience of articulating and hearing, the experience is totally different. This immediately teaches me and you an important lesson. The location of a sound does not tell us everything. There are other factors, because two sounds can share the same location, can share the same birthplace, yet they possess entirely different personalities. That's why we study in Tajweed both makhraj and sifat. Now, the birthplace explains where a sound originates. Where does it come from? Now, when we talk of sifa, the sifa explains how the sound behaves. Now, let's go to the next factor, which is the sifat. Maybe you can just ask, okay, they are from the same place but different personalities. So let us look at the personality of ha. Let us examine the qualities of this letter ha'u. The first quality is what they call breathliness. Yani this is the most important character of ha'u. Why? Air flows freely. Yani the sound, when you're pronouncing this ha, almost rides upon breath. It depends upon breath itself. Now with that, sifa, try say, ha, hu, he. You see, notice how the sound dims to exhale. There's a lot of exhaling that happens. This is what differentiates hamza from ha'u, the sifa. You see, unlike hamza, which stops and releases, okay, ha'u flows, yani with the breath, ha'u, okay? And with that, the second characteristics is what they call continuity, yani ha'u, yani the air flow continues. There is no sudden blockage, ha'u. There is no explosive release, yani the sound stretches gently, ha'u. And again, the third sifa, or the third characteristic, or the third personality of ha'u is being light, because the letter remains very light. It does not carry heaviness, like letters which you will see like swad or ta. Then the fourth sifa is what they call openness. Yani the tongue, okay? Remember the central command? It remains open. Yani nothing feels compressed when you pronounce ha'u. Nothing feels forced. Now, what is the overall experience of both listening to it and pronouncing it? The overall experience is the one of breath, of flow and softness, okay? So we have to right now combine all of this and now understand what is the sound experience of ha'u. What does ha'u feel like? Now let's do a practical with all those sifats, all those personalities I've asked you or I defined. Let us close our eyes and just try and listen carefully. Ha, hu, he. Yani, you ask yourself in that experience, did it feel like you are forcing the language? The letter? No. Did it sort of feel sharp with the sharp pitch? No. Did it somehow feel abrupt when you like stop? Like, huh, huh. Okay? No, it didn't feel that abrupt. Now, this is how it feels when you articulate. It's like it's just a small breath, just like a sigh, and that release. It's a gentle current of air flowing out. But hamza, it just feels like a spark. Ha'u feels just like a breeze. Okay? Hamza has the characteristics of having like a beginning, but ha'u has that continuation. Hamza interrupts silence, but the other just overflows throughout, subhanallah. So you see, two letters coming from the same place, but completely different experiences in recitation and listening. So let us just observe ha'u in one of the names which we find in the Quran. And which perfect example other than the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu. Because there is Allahu, Allah, and Allahi. Yani the most frequent recited name in existence. But listen carefully. Ha'u is placed at the end. So ha'u does not just strike the ear at once. It gently releases the word. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes with breath, with openness, and with softness. So with that, try and revise the sifats of ha'u so that you can differentiate from hamza, because both of them come from the same part. They are born on the same part, but they have two different personalities. Just like siblings can be born of the same father and mother, grew up in the same environment, under the same roof, but totally different personalities. So with that, we are going to look at another letter that comes from here, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.